A handful of people had to be evacuated because of how quickly the waters rushed through here. It is waterlogged. The vehicle behind us. A 7-year-old boy returning from a 4th of July celebration is shot and killed in Humboldt Park. We have seen an officer stop by this location to check out the structure behind us, and there's a good reason for that. You can actually see the fire that was part of this building start back up. I'm going to kick it across the surface here, and you get an idea of how warped this pavement is. Do not leave your children inside cars. Do not leave your pets there as well. You can see this tree here. Both the sides pretty barren. The snow really accumulating right in the center. For people who have difficulty making toast, like myself, this is actually a pretty good way to go.
No cooking required.
Some of the most severe damage that we have seen. A tree in the background blocking off any cars from coming in. Police rush from their posts outside the UIC pavilion. They find a struggle between officers and a protester, and that protester finds himself subdued and bloodied on the pavement of a nearby intersection. A handful of other activists are taken away by law enforcement, the violence impacting police as well, as an officer is spotted bleeding at the scene.
Tonight we won, okay?
Elation preceded the bloodshed as those against presidential candidate Donald Trump celebrated what they called a grassroots victory, many believing their protest played a role in the businessman postponing his speech, several calling for controlled celebrations despite all the political adrenaline. Unfortunately, not all listened to that plea for peace. We reached out to the Chicago Police Department to find out how many people were arrested and also the medical condition of those injured. They told us they did not have the information at this point in time, but would follow up in the hours ahead.
The view is fantastic. The view is of downtown Chicago.
After the rush, a rush hour.
Yeah, always running around, always working through traffic.
Daisy Arashiba settles into his 2-bedroom, 1.5-bath apartment. The comic actor and musician calls this home and home office for,
7 years?
But this year, he discovered his nest.
Was that a falcon?
Expanded, unexpectedly.
Well, I'm sure you know the Chicago Housing Authority's like, that's not a legal bedroom out there in the balcony.
Part of his 28th floor Lakeview apartment was taken over by a pair of squawky squatters.
When they get together, they become kind of the Bickersons. It's like, what are you doing? It's like, I've been flying around hunting things. What do you got? I got something. I just killed it. You want to eat some? Sure. You know.
Peregrine falcons are a bird of prey traditionally nesting in places like barren cliff faces.
And I happen to have empty window boxes because I'm a terrible gardener.
He branded the birds after famous musicians.
Steve and Linda, because Perry, Steve Perry and Linda Perry.
Eventually discovering his new neighbors made more than music.
And there are 4 chicks. There's Luke Perry, Katy Perry, Joe Perry, and because it's Chicago, Refrigerator Perry.
The birds are federally protected, so it is against the law to move the nest. Arashiba has limited access to his balcony for about another month. That's when this feathered family could say farewell.
Chicks that have been born here have ended up as far away as Ecuador.
For now, the hum of traffic is part of the lullaby for 4 newborns. The Windy City providing a perch and one man providing the rent for some temporary tenants.
So there they are. Unfortunately, I'm okay with it.
Jeremy Ross, CBS 2 News. This story doesn't start with a gush of news. It begins with a drip.
It's because you see it's still running.
It continues with concerns about a fall or a slip.
Sliding on the ice. Duct tape.
They wrapped the raincoat around, then they got the duct tape and wrapped the duct tape around trying to stop it from leaking.
Not sure what that is.
And it's still leaking.
Broken for months and months.
Somewhere underneath the makeshift Band-Aid for a leak, you'll see the fire hydrant in 43rd and Champlain. This tale of the tape extends to downtown as well. Pictures show now fixed hydrants in Wabash and another bagged and taped on State.
You don't take nothing like that up. You fix that.
If your house is on fire, do you depend on that hydrant?
Oh, no, man.
Well, if they had seen the tape and plastic on it, they would have immediately gone to the next hydrant.
Gary Litherland of the Department of Water says firefighters would instead go to a hydrant less than 300 feet away. He calls the tape jobs something neighbors did. Our call to his office fixed the problem, and he's calling on neighbors to alert the city so future leaks don't linger.
We try to get to them all within 24 hours.
If you see a fire hydrant in the city of Chicago that needs service, the city is reminding you this evening to call 311 or visit their website and fill out a report. Right now at 6:30, a violent holiday weekend in Chicago claims the life of a 7-year-old boy. Plus, we're taking a look at some of the 4th of July celebrations held around the area. And what a long, strange trip it's been. The Grateful Dead play their final show at Soldier Field this evening. Good morning to everyone out there. I'm Jeremy Ross alongside Mary Kay Kleiss. Thank you for sharing your morning with us. If you have any coffee to share as well, we could probably use that too. New this morning, a 7-year-old boy returning from a 4th of July celebration is shot and killed in Humboldt Park. Police say he and another victim were standing on the sidewalk near Harding and Thomas just before midnight when shots were fired. The boy was hit in the chest. Paramedics rushed him to Stroger Hospital, where he later died. The other victim, a 26-year-old woman, was also taken to Stroger in stable condition. Police believe the victims were not targeted. So far, no one is in custody. A 14-year-old boy is dead after a fight on Facebook transitions into real-life violence. The Wisconsin teen died after he was shot Friday night. Police say the boy and a group of friends had an argument on Facebook with another group of people over a girl. The two groups met up at a fireworks show. That is when someone fired a barrage of 8 or 9 shots. Police continue to search for suspects. Rescuers in China scrambled to find people trapped during an earthquake, even as the ground was still shaking. Surveillance video shows a group of soldiers running for the door after a 6.5 magnitude quake in far western China Friday. Many arrived at the hardest hit areas within minutes. At least 6 people were killed and dozens more were injured. Time right now, 5:13. Mary Kay, finally seeing summer weather. Get this, during summer.
I know, right? Wait, whoa.
Let's take a look at what's going on behind me. These serious flames in the boardwalk in Atlantic City. This fire reportedly broke out at a 4th of July celebration while the boardwalk was lined with visitors. Fortunately, no reports of any injuries. Across Greece, voters are at the polls deciding on a referendum that could keep them afloat, with tough strings attached. At issue, whether to accept strict terms demanded by creditors in exchange for an extended financial bailout. For people who have difficulty making toast, like myself, this is actually a pretty good way to go.
No cooking required.
And of course, both these things are non-fat, right?
Of course, no calories. And fresh strawberry scones, which are my favorite.
I've tried making scones before.
Oh, how did that go?
It did not go well. It did not go well.